The Sleipnir is a vessel that I've been aspiring to fly for a long time. Yeah, it may surprise some of you to know that despite my unending love of the Hurricane, I'd never actually flown a Sleipnir before this video. Well, that had to change. So when I finished my two mini-series looking at the heavy assault cruisers and Tech 3 strategics, I knew exactly which ship class I wanted to cover next. Command ships are unusual vessels that your friends and courtmates are going to adore you for flying, and they can be used both solo or as a force multiplier in fleets for J-space ratting in C3s and C4s quite comfortably. Join me in this video as I finally realise an EVE Online dream of mine and take the Sleipnir out for a spin in J-space. Ahoy there folks, I'm Captain Benzie and welcome back to another video for EVE Online. You folks seem to have really enjoyed my little J-Space ratting mini-series, both on the Tech 3 strategic cruisers, the heavy assault cruisers, and the Marauders. Having covered all of those, it was time to take a look at another type of vessel and see how that would do. And browsing through the ship tree, I looked and thought to myself, oh look, one of these could have me covering the Hurricane again, or at least a variant of the Hurricane, so that's what we're going to be doing. We're going to be looking at the Tech 2 Command Battle Cruisers. These are very special ships. They are not just solo ships by any stretch of the mind, they are very much designed around fleet use, but I'm going to be showcasing them in J-Space ratting. We are going to talk about what makes Command Battle Cruisers special in general, and honestly, I'm just excited to get to showcase one of the ships I've been wanting to fly for a very long time, the Minmatar Republic Sleipnir. So that's where we're going to be starting this series off. If you guys do enjoy this video and want to help support the channel, you can do so easily and freely by hitting a like on this video and dropping a comment down below. Both of those really help me out. And if you do want to go the extra mile, I'll talk about how to do all of that later on. Special thanks to everyone who gets their name in the credits at the end of this video. It means the world to me. Finally, if you are new to EVE Online, come join the Catskull Community Discord in the description down below, and make sure to click the referral link to get yourself 1 million free skill points. All that said and done then, let's jump right into talking about the Tech 2 Minmatar Republic's command battlecruiser, the Sleipnir. If you've watched my content previously, or heck, if you know me at all, you'll know that the Hurricane is absolutely my favourite vessel in the entirety of New Eden. I love the way it looks, I love the way it flies, and I wish I had a reason to undock it more frequently. So when I started this little mini-series and looked at the command ships and saw the Sleipnir, I was like, yes, this is definitely going to be the thing. The Sleipnir itself also is a vessel I've been sort of aspiring to fly for a long time. Despite the fact that my very first EVE Online character, when I rolled it back in 2012, 2013, somewhere around there, skilled into the Hurricane very early on, the Sleipnir is not a ship I've actually flown before. So this time around, I was like, that is going to be the ship I'm looking forward to flying, so I'm very excited to get to talk about this. We're going to look at the Sleipnir in its role as a C3 solo ratter. We're going to look at it in regards to running this in fleets and all kinds of other special uses, because it's a command ship and they do some very special things. So first of all then, what actually is a command ship? We're going to be looking at all 8 of these over this mini-series, so it's worth talking about what they actually are. Well, command ships are ships that can be fit with special modules, high-slot modules, called command bursts. These come in 4 different varieties: shield command bursts, armor command bursts, skirmish command bursts, and information command bursts. These are essentially high-slot modules that can be loaded with different charges and do all kinds of crazy different effects in a sphere around them, affecting all friendly members in your fleet. How cool is that, right? So basically it is a buff that affects you and your friends around you. Now here with the Sleipnir, we are going to be looking mainly at shield command bursts, but they can use other types as well for different effects. Essentially, shield command bursts are going to do things like increasing shield resistances, increasing shield booster effectiveness and capacity usage, that kind of thing, and again, that's for you and everyone within its effect. Armor command bursts do similar. Skirmish command bursts are all about agility, maneuverability, and flight velocity, and then the information command bursts are things like E-war resistance and lock speed and strength and that kind of thing. So, looking at the Sleipnir, it has the command ship roll bonus. This is the ability to use 2 command burst modules. You'll notice it explicitly states 2 command burst modules. Command bursts can't just be fitted to any ship you like. There are certain ships that can use them, and notably the Hurricane and all of the baseline versions of the command ships can fit 1 of these command bursts. but the ability to fit 2 is extraordinarily powerful, because it means you don't have to just choose which one is going to work. You get double the effects, right? You could go for, say, one that makes your shields repair faster and one that increases their resistance. That's going to be a really nice overall thing. Or you could put a shield and a skirmish on the same vessel, right? So that's already a really nice start there, and you will see that throughout this series, all of the vessels that we look at have this roll bonus to it. Being a Minmatar battlecruiser, of course we are getting bonuses from the Minmatar battlecruiser skill, a 10% bonus to medium projectile turret damage, and a 7.5% bonus to shield booster amount. Means we're going to be fitting medium projectile turrets and shield boosters, right? Seems pretty logical. Now, because this is a Tech 2 battlecruiser, you're going to need to have Minmatar battlecruiser all the way to 5. So you're going to have 50% additional damage from your turrets and 37.5% additional shield booster amount, making for a highly damaging and surprisingly tanky vessel. That's before we come to the command burst, which we'll focus on more later. Then we get the command ship bonuses. This, again, is the skill, like Heavy Assault Cruiser, is going to affect all 8 of the command ships. So if you do end up enjoying these kind of vessels, skilling into command ships will affect all 8 of the different command ships. So, what does it give us? It gives us a 10% bonus to medium projectile turret damage, so we're getting even more damage from here, and a 10% bonus to medium projectile turret fall-off, which really helps autocannons with their range, because they've already got insane fall-off. Having an additional up to 50% fall-off means you are applying at some truly mad distances, which you'll see later on. Finally, we get a 4% bonus per level to Shield Command and Skirmish Command Burst Strength and Duration. The longer duration, so 20% at full training, means that you're using your scripts less frequently. You're chewing through those scripts slower, which is always a good thing. The fact that it gets additional strength means the effect is going to be bigger. If something were going to give you 10% shield resistances and you've got this, it's now going to give you 12% shield resistances, right? That's always going to be a nice big boost across the board. What we're essentially looking at here then is a ship that definitely uses projectile turrets. It gets very nice damage bonuses to those. It's going to have a shield booster fitted in order to keep itself alive, and it's probably going to have a shield command, if not a shield and skirmish command, in order to get the bonuses for those. Remember, command bursts do affect your ship as well as anyone else in your fleet. So, for C3 ratting, this already sounds pretty exciting. We know the Hurricane is pretty good at C2 ratting. We know that C3 ratting sites can be run by Tech 2 cruisers like the Vagabond, which is a medium projectile turret ship, so hopefully the Sleipnir should be able to do all of the sites, right? And yes, absolutely it can. You can also take this into C4s, and it will do remarkably well there if you bring a friend. We'll talk about that more later, but let's showcase the fit. So let's have a look at what this fit actually achieves, and we'll talk about the details in just a moment. So first of all, we are not cap stable with everything running, but as you'll see later, that doesn't matter. We don't need everything running at all times, and we will actually be ludicrously cap stable for the most part. When you turn things on and off, you will essentially be able to recharge your capacitor very, very quickly, and then just use it over a 4-minute 22 duration when you need to. Once you are, not needing to run everything, turn it off, and your cap will recharge all the way back up very, very quickly. We have astonishing DPS, 987 DPS across the board here, with very good range and application on that. Our defense is an astonishing 48,500 effective hit points. That is, of course, with the command bursts running. We'll talk about those later, and that's how we achieve some of these ridiculously high resistances. You'll notice as well the shield boost rate is 114 hit points per second, which when you've got resistances like this is more than enough to keep you alive through most of the C3 sites very, very comfortably. It'll keep you alive through all of them, but most of them very comfortably. We have decent targeting, long range to these 87.5 kilometers, which means if we're loading Barrage, we can actually shoot at really quite long ranges, 7 targets locked. Fairly fast moving for a battle cruiser. It is a Minmatar vessel after all, 487.8 meters per second, and whilst we have drones, they're only 89 DPS, we can kind of ignore those for the most part. It's either one heavy drone, we can go for 2 medium drones, or we can go for 5 light drones. I tend to just go with 5 light drones for this because, well, the damage is minuscule anyway. They do just help you take out some of the frigates that little bit faster if you need to. So, first of all, as I said, the capacitor here is slightly lying to us. You'll notice if I turn the shield booster off, we are very cap stable indeed. So we can shoot our targets, get things down nice and low, and then when we need to start shield boosting, you activate the shield booster. You've got 4 minutes 22 of running that at full effectiveness. The second you turn it off afterwards, that delta is so high that we are going to recharge very, very quickly. Sustainable at 87.1% with no neutralization. Very powerful recharge there. Means that when your capacitor goes down, it comes back up very quickly. And we achieve that by using basically a Thukker large cap battery here in the mid slots. That's all we need. Thukker large cap battery can go Republic fleet. They're much the same. I prefer the Thukker personally, but that's also because I'm a little bit of a Thukker fanboy. So there we go. Make of that what you will. For that tank, though, in case you hadn't spotted, that was a large shield booster 2. That's giving us 380 HP every 3.3 seconds, which, as you'll have seen here, if I go shield boost rate with that switched on, 114 HP per second with that running. So we get big boosts while it's running. We then turn it off when we don't need it. We have a Multispectrum Shield Hardener II, which is going to be pulling up our resistances a little bit there, 29.3% across the board from those, and a damage control unit in the low slots, again, just to pull those up. An additional 12.5 shield resistance, not bad at all. On the rig side of things, a medium kinetic shield reinforcer just plugs the hole that otherwise would be here. If I were to turn that off, you'll see that it's a little bit low. I wanted to get that above 70% just because I don't like the fact that something's below 70% and everything else is high 70s. So there we go. Again, this can theoretically be changed. I just kind of like making sure we are survivable to the extreme. What about our damage then? That's our survivability. So for our damage, I'm running a set of 425mm AutoCannon IIs. Here with hail fitted, you can see that we have a very short optimal range of 1.7 kilometers, but the fall off goes all the way out to 23. And remember that fall off is not a straight line, it is curved, which means at 23 kilometers, you're doing 50% of your DPS, which is still a fairly respectable, just shy of 500 DPS. That said, if you're somewhere sort of the 10-kilometer margin, you're still doing about 90% of your DPS, and the further you go out, that still works. And then if you were to change that across to something like hail, which as the barrage, sorry, so if I load in barrage in here, you will see that barrage gives us still 647.1 DPS. That's now at an optimal of 4 kilometers, or 3.5, with a fall off to 47. This means we can actually shoot out about 70 kilometers with this, which is also within our lock range, meaning we can apply it basically anything as it begins to close with us, swapping back to hail, because load hail never fail, when targets get basically within 23 kilometers. If it's within 23 kilometers, shoot it with hail. If it's further than 23 kilometers, shoot it with barrage. That's kind of your main thing here. In addition to this, we have in the mid slots a Federation Navy Stasis Webifier. I went for Federation Navy because I wanted the additional range to 14 kilometers. Again, standard Navy, standard Stasis Webifier 2 will do quite nicely here. It's just for making sure you hit those frigates a little bit easier. You always change down to hail for those. With a web, because they're going to be in that range, you're going to be able to hold them quite nicely and apply your damage. In the lows, we have 2 tracking enhancers, just to get the tracking up a little bit, and additional range, alongside 2 Gyrostabilizers for the additional DPS. In the rigs then, a medium burst projectile Aerator II is just to push that DPS up that little bit higher. Final part in the mids then, as we haven't mentioned it, is a 10 meganewton Afterburner II. This just allows us to navigate through the battlefield that little bit easier. It's not quite a sniping fit. We're very much brawling with this for the most part, but we can brawl at some really quite scary ranges, which is great fun. The other 2 high slots then, of course, are Shield Command Burst 2s. I'm running one with a Shield Harmonizing Charge and one with an Active Shielding Charge. Now, the Active Shielding Charge here, you can see here, can be used in a Shield Command Burst module dispersed across the active allies here. And if we go into its attributes, what this is going to do is basically reduce the duration and capacitor use bonus of those, so it's going to cycle faster and use less capacitor, making for more heals per second. The other one then is the Shield Harmonizing Charge. This is all about the resistances, additional 8% resistance across the board. And remember, these affect you and every friendly member in your fleet within 25 kilometers. That is why I say that yes, the Sleipnir here can be used for ratting all C3 combat sites comfortably on its own. It can actually run most of the C4s quite comfortably. They take a little longer because of the mad spawn ranges, but if you were to bring someone who is a shield tank ship, doesn't really matter what. I've done it with a Vagabond, I've done it with a Munin, I've done it with all kinds of different shield tank vessels, even like the Kaldari Drake will do quite comfortably. This massively increases their survivability, so a Sleipnir and friend will run any of the C4 combat sites very quickly, very effectively. That doesn't necessarily mean you're going to be earning more ISK than you would otherwise, although I always recommend ratting with a friend when you can. If a site takes you 20 minutes to do and gives you 40 million, you'll find that doing it with a friend, it will be faster than 10 minutes, so faster than half the time, but still giving you half the loot. So you do actually work out more ISK eventually, you know, like over time kind of thing. Certainly, if you have some friends with you and you want to clear out a C4 because there's just a load of combat sites and you've got one wherever you are, go for it. Sleipnir is going to do absolutely fantastically in this. Now, of course, I have dropped this fit in the description down below. I'll also, so you can copy paste that into Python or into the game to see what you need to have that readily available, see how it affects your skills. You'll also have little bits up here that tell you what skills you need to train, so you can build up a basic skill queue to get that up and running. Then look at the mastery to give yourself a vague idea of what kind of skills you should be training in order to make the most out of this vessel. It's also fairly cheap for a Tech 2 battlecruiser, 680.4 million ISK. We've got no bling on this really whatsoever. Anyway, enough of me parroting on about the ship, let's showcase it in action, shall we? Before we do so, I just want to jump in and tell you how you can help support this channel. At the end of this video, you will see there is a credit sequence listing out a load of names of really awesome people who help keep this channel alive. If you've enjoyed my content and want to support me making more content like it, you can do so either by joining my Patreon page, where you pledge to support each month and you'll get your name in the credits at the end of each video as well. Also, you can head across to my Redbubble merchandise store, or if you just want to do a one-off donation, you can head to my PayPal tip jar. Humongous thank you to every single person who is able to do that. It really does mean the world, and it really helps me keep making content like this. Anyway, all of that said, on with the show. A common question I'm asked about these videos is, why do I bother showcasing things like the Outpost Frontier Stronghold, as you can see on screen now? Well, my simple reasoning for this is that, yeah, okay, it's not the best site as far as ISK per hour goes, but it is a site that you may want to be able to clear. If you are in a wormhole corporation, or if you're not in a wormhole corporation to be fair, if you're ratting J-Space and you happen to find a C3 system and it's got nothing but outposts, surely you want to know that your ship can actually run those. You don't want to just rely on the fortification frontiers or solar cells or Arus or whichever one is sort of your ideal scenario. So I showcase the outposts because these are arguably the hardest ones to clear, and I think they're therefore a nice benchmark. That said, of course, I have run the Sleipnir through both the Fortification Frontier Stronghold, the Arus Construct, the Solar Cell, and the Outpost Frontier Stronghold numerous times before running this video and this fit. And yeah, it can do all of them absolutely comfortably. Really no difficulty at all. It's just a case of essentially pick a target, know obviously who's going to die last, use the correct ammo. I shouldn't really have swapped to Barrage here because I'm now actually within the fall off of standard hail, so it's going to be doing more damage. But, you know, it's, you know, people make mistakes. Even though this is one of my favorite ships, yeah, I still fly it like an idiot sometimes. And yeah, if you can fly it like an idiot and do well, then if you're a better pilot than I am, you can do even better, right? That's my theory, at least. But essentially, you'll see that the damage incoming is minimal. Obviously, the Sleipnir is quite a small, fast-moving battlecruiser, relative to other battlecruisers, of course, which reduces some of the damage it's taking. We've also got absolutely mad resistances, so the amount of damage we're taking is very low in general anyway, and the shield booster's more than comfortable of keeping up with that. And as you can see, you can kind of leave the shield booster running without worrying too much about it. Eventually, you are going to cap yourself out if you leave it on infinitely, though, but we can just turn it off, and capacitor actually recharges astonishingly quickly at that point. Anyway, as I said, it's basically at this point just kind of knowing your target priority, shoot what you want to shoot, fly around, drift, and enjoy the fireworks show. I'm loving looking at all of those Argos sentry cannons blowing up because they're just really, really pretty explosions. Sleeper explosions might be the reason that I'm so obsessed with J-Space ratting, because I just love those bluish white arcing bursts. It's great fun. But you can see absolutely no risk at all from any of the damage here. We're sitting very comfortably high on our shields at the moment. You know, what, 10% damage there, maybe 15, going on to 20%. Capacitor's recharging nice and quickly as well. I've obviously put the shield booster on just to pick up that a little bit. But we're under no threat whatsoever. Drones, really not much. I didn't talk about them in the fitting section. As I said, I tend to use light drones. I go for Hobgoblins just because they've got slightly higher damage overall, and for the most part, they do the job. You could use any type, really. Obviously, going for something like Warriors could be cool because A, it's thematic to a Minmatar ship, and B, they're going to do well against the frigates, but yeah, the rest of the ship does absolutely fine against the frigates as well, as you'll see in just a moment. And so we've got good DPS, good application. I tend to set my orbit for around about 6,000 meters on this. I find that if you get too much closer than that, then everything is just glance, 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 because you can't track it properly. Anything further than that, you start to lose damage. So it's kind of 6 to 10 kilometers is your sweet spot when using hail in this particular vessel, with these turrets at least. You'll see that Sleepless Defender going down nice and quickly. I do like how the command burst sort of looks every time it goes off as well. Visually, EVE is just such a stunning game, like seriously. And I'm loving the new laptop on this as well. I'm actually capable of running EVE at ultra specs now on about 160, well, it's over 160 FPS. And considering I've got a 165 hertz screen on this thing, yeah, it's just so pretty. It's so pretty. I love it so much. I don't know how I lived before this, but there we go. But that's just me showing off. And a huge thank you to everyone who helped out with me getting this laptop sorted. It's a dream. It is an absolute dream come true. Anyway, this Sleepless Defender slowly going down. That might be why I'm rambling on different topics at the moment and kind of not being, on target. But here we are. There goes that Sleepless Defender. Awakened Defenders are the new wave spawning. Boom, beautiful explosion there. We're going to start shooting these. Now, at this point, you would swap to Hail because they're all over 23 kilometers away. Start to pick one to orbit and start to move towards it. Otherwise, we are going to Barrage, sorry, not Hail. I just realized I said Barrage. I meant Hail, I meant Barrage. Load Barrage because everything's over 23 kilometers away, and that mistake, because of the 10-second load time of autocannons, means that now they're basically all within the 23, so I should actually be in Hail. Yeah, as I said, I fly like an idiot just to prove that the ship is good enough. Even if you fly like a moron, you'll still do well with it. That's my excuse, right? I fly like a moron so that you don't have to. Oof, graphical glitching there. I hate clipping through scenery. Ruins an otherwise beautiful experience, but there we are. You'll see here, firing at the cruisers. Again, no issues at all. Quite comfortable. Drones are doing their thing. The autocannons are doing their thing as well. We're putting out decent damage to those ships. I've just knocked my mouse, obviously, which has put the thing up on screen there. Let's get rid of that. But away we go. It's, no issues whatsoever dealing with any of these. That said, I am going to skip ahead a little bit because I want to showcase the third and final wave, because obviously that's the one that most people have conniptions about when it comes to the Outpost Frontiers. And there we go, Wave 3 has spawned. We've got our 2 Sleepless Defender battleships, and we've got our Emergent Defender frigates, 4 of them. Now, these we need to be a little bit careful with. They can aggro our drones, but again, 89 DPS, it's kind of who cares at that point. It should be using Hail, obviously, at this range. Lovely lag spike there in the footage. Great, thank you, BT, for that. And you'll see that we are quite comfortable to hit those. Just put your web on. That'll slow them right down. The autocannons themselves do absolutely mad damage. You'll see you tend to get like maybe a glancing hit and then bang, you just punch straight through them in one go. I'm taking a little bit of damage, more than I'd like at this point. You can see the shield booster is struggling to keep up with that. It's not a huge issue, you'll see, as time goes on, but those Emergent Defenders are kind of just dropping like flies, one by one. You get some minor little glances there. There's that first big hit, second big hit, bang, down they go. That quick and that easy. Autocannons, I love them. So we're going to move after the first Sleepless Defender now, and you'll see that as long as we're cycling the shield booster, no real difficulties at all. We just want to get close to these as possible. Difficult because they web us and slow us right down. First one therefore takes a bit of time because we can't quite get to the range we want to be at, but then once that's down, the second one we can actually range it surprisingly easily. The one web is not enough to cause too many problems, so just be aware that first Sleepless Defender is going to take a little bit of time to chunk through. You can see as I'm waffling on here, it's slowly going down with penetrates and some nice smashes. couple of glances off and things, because obviously it does happen from time to time. That's partly due to range more than tracking at this point. I don't even know why I've got the web running. Really doesn't help much here, but you know, may as well, I guess. You know, not helping much is better than just not helping. But that's it. That is the Sleipnir, and it works really well as a solo ratting ship in C3 and C4. And again, as I mentioned earlier, if you have friends, the fact that you are using shield command bursts is going to help them survive even better and take less damage. You're just going to clear sites nice and quickly and comfortably. Really strongly recommend. You could actually swap to a skirmish command burst at that point and maybe speed yourself and your friends up if you need to get into range a little bit easier. You could go even for like the... I wouldn't really go information command burst on a Sleipnir because it doesn't really get the bonuses for it, but faster lock times could be nice, you know. Play around with it, figure out what works. And if the Sleipnir is indeed a ship that you use a lot, obviously PvP is another popular thing to do with the Sleipnir because of those command bursts, then yeah, let me know. If this is a ship you fly, I'd love to hear how you fit it, what you're running on it. Let me know in the comment section down below. Otherwise, folks, that's about everything for this video. Please do let me know which of the command vessels you would like to see me cover next. Join the Catskull Discord or drop it in the comment section down below. Thanks for watching right the way through to the end, folks. Happy sailing, and see you in New Eden!